This is Anthony,
And Susan.
and this is our trip to Santa Barbara. We first started at,
Oh, at the Los Angeles Central Library, which I had wanted to see after reading the library book by Susan Orleans. That book was about this massive fire they had there in 1986.
and the fire was actually in this room, but you couldn't see any of the damage because there was so much dirt and grime on the ceiling that it actually protected it from this fire. This is the Bradley section, which is newer.
We stayed at the Harbor House Inn, which was really nice. We had a very comfortable room for hanging out in, nice bed, great
Comfortable bed.
comfortable bed, great areas for just sitting.
Those two chairs were very comfortable for your back.
Yeah, those were great. Anthony particularly loved the shower head.
Oh, great shower head. It dumped far too much water on you.
And here's the kitchen, just enough of everything that you needed if you wanted to make your own meals, which we did. Walk in closet, and the bathroom was quite nice. Here's the closet.
Yeah, it had like 3 rooms off the main room. The walk in closet was a room in itself.
This is just another shot towards the door. Um,
And it was in a nice style with a Spanish style roof, tall palm trees, nice neighborhood. There's tall buildings around, relatively quiet. That road was a little noisy at night, but look how close to the harbor it is. It's a quick 5-minute walk to the harbor. Just beautiful. But the night we arrived, we walked down the pier, the famous Santa Barbara Pier.
the Stearns Wharf, they call it.
Yes, they call it a wharf, but we looked it up. It's a pier. Wharf just sounds better.
It was a really nice time of year to visit. Plus, we were there midweek, so it wasn't crowded at all, but the weather was pretty nice, maybe a little cool. We went to the Botanic Garden, which features California natives and low water plants. We had been there once before. It's just a really pretty place to walk around with kind of a canyon with little redwood trees, little as in they're big.
It's such an amazing place. Even the ducks walk on water.
Haha.
I really like this type of sundial. It works on a completely different principle than the other ones. First of all, it has this figure 8 pattern where you have to first find the date, which is June something, June up here. So, and then you put this V, this V here, it makes a shadow on that line, so you make sure it hits the month that you want. And then you come over here and you figure out if you're daylight savings time or not. So we're not, so we're on standard time. So we look at where this is pointing, and it's pointing just after 10 o'clock. About 10. It is about that time. So it works quite well.
These are casitas?
The casitas.
The casitas, yes. They have this little temporary display, these little houses. Great place to take a nap.
Many varieties.
The gardens were just gorgeous. A lot of them were sort of wild and open, and some of them were manicured. This was an old dam, a 100-year-old dam. They don't use it anymore, but it had active water running through it and made a very nice little gurgling sound.
Another casita.
Made out of sticks. These are the Channel Islands in a garden display in front of this
Research Center.
The research center. And this place was called Island View because you could see the Channel Islands out there.
Then home for lunch,
which we had out on a little garden area they had. This is the main harbor. It's just a beautiful place. All these pretty little boats all, wobbling around in the swells. And if you look carefully, you can see a school going on. What kind of boats are those?
I believe those are sabots.
Yeah, they're little sabots, one-person boats. I think they're mostly kids in there. The guy at the museum said that this harbor is used as an example of exactly where you should not put a harbor, because all of the sand right here piled up against their water break there. That's me there flying.
And the sand didn't get to places it was supposed to get.
Yeah, so they have to dredge up this sand and put it on the beaches it used to go to. It's not far to Neverland. Reason to pretend. And if the wind is There are birds everywhere. It's still a working harbor. A lot of fishing boats. Some of the fishing boats have lobster traps. Um, Here's a fisherman who has kept his lobster overboard in the water while overnight, I imagine, and then in the morning he comes and pulls them up out of the water with a rope and dumps them into this basically a trash can with wheels with water in it. And then we saw him wheeling it off, probably to a local store.
Yeah, there's a fish market right there too. This seems to be a memorial to those lost at sea. Oh, and then we saw this guy throwing for his dog. And the dog has just brought it back to him, and now he's looking at him like, "Did you not see me just bring that back to you?"
He's like reluctant to go out in the water, but he did go right to it. It was quite a long swim. He's in that channel right there, right at the end. There's no boats, so it was fine.
These are little sanderlings, which were so cute, and then there's a regular sandpiper there.
Sunsets were gorgeous. It was beautiful watching the sunsets.
We next went to the Maritime Museum. This is in the former Naval Reserve building, opened in 2000. Bye-bye, drone.
So here we are. They have this beautiful balcony on the top of the building where they rent it out. They auction it off for watching the fireworks. They had beautiful models inside, and we had a nice docent that told us about how this person modeled the inside of the ship, like Ron's going to do. There was this fantastic first order Fresnel lens. It was just in pristine condition because it was out on an island that was really hard to get to, so vandals couldn't go out and ruin it. Someone did manage to scratch their name into it. Museum's right on the edge of the marina, so it has this beautiful view of the pier, especially at nighttime when it all lights up. Here you can see where the sand has built up around the breakwater. Very bad thing for the boats, so it has to be dredged out.
Everything was kind of laid back and quiet. It was really nice.
Yeah, they allow drones, which is great. I went to the actual harbor police and asked them, and they said, "Oh yeah, there's no law against drones here." Here's an opportunist dog who was trying to get food off of that boat. That didn't work, so now he's going over to this boat.
Lastly, we visited the zoo.
The Santa Barbara Zoo. It was great having these experts answering our questions. You just yell out a question and they would answer it. These guys are just hilarious. That head motion they're doing is called flagging, and apparently it's to attract or indicate to others something.
On the way in, of course, there's the gift shop, and they found these wings that a child can wear, butterfly wings.
I think that'd be so cute for Kelly.
Yeah.
This guy here wants to impress his mate by giving her a dead mouse.
She's like, "Nah, not interested, buddy."
Prefer to have this piece of trash on the ground.
Yes. These are white-handed monkeys.
Ah, the leopard. He was very impressive. Spots are just gorgeous. And he just looks at you like every once in a while, his eyes would just sort of look up at you. And you're like, you're really happy that there's like 1 inch glass between you and him. Big long tail.
Their tails are so thick.
Most people are familiar with nocturnal and diurnal, so like in the day and during the night. These guys are crepuscular, they're actually awake when the sun is rising and setting. And
Again, this had another expert outside telling us all about the animals. That one had a very interesting adaptation. It could live birth its young But in times of need, it could also lay an egg. So on a birth by birth basis, it would either live birth or not.
This boa, I swear, could see us. I thought they mostly operated on infrared, but he clearly could see us. He kept coming by the glass, and then he'd go up like that when he got near me.
You went, whoa.
Yeah, it was kind of creepy. I mean, you knew you were okay, but it was still a little bit, just that little bit of, "Eh."
In this time lapse, you can see this peristaltic action of his feet. Look at the very bottom. You can see this wave going by, and that's what propels him forward. This is a moving picture.
And this tiny little fox. This one is actually, there was two other foxes in there. I think this was their young, but they weren't much bigger than that.
It was a good zoo. It had all the right animals. Used to have an elephant, doesn't anymore. They're going to get 2 lions, but these guys were the most impressive.
These are the lowland gorillas. Oh, he's aiming at the other gorilla.
Wow.
That's
Good heavens.
That's it.
Yeah.
Here's one at Instagram.
Uh-oh. Oh. He looked up at us when he did that.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm, that was cool.
Are you giving us a show? What, baby?
I'm Stinky Gorillas.
Stinky?
Stinky Gorillas. Hey, young.
Uh-oh, he's gonna pick up that ball. What is he gonna do with it?
Thumb down into it.
Usually those are where they hide
Oh,
the
you
treats.
see him look?
And they have to work to
See, he's
get them
looking to see where he is.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
He's
nonchalant.
walking.
Oh,
That wasn't
failed.
a very good one. Failed.
out. So that one's the older one, you think?
I don't know. I'm just looking at him. I think this guy's bigger, actually.
Yeah, this one's definitely bigger.
Yeah.
Truly massive. Their arms were thicker than my legs, and pound for pound, the muscles like 6 times stronger. This is the California condor, the bird that was going extinct and has made a turnaround,
I think there are about 450 individuals right now.
which is still not enough for.
Yeah. I mean, they were down to what, like 12? Or
Oh,
something?
a tiny amount. And they're just the most impressive bird. 9.5-foot wingspan. They're just ginormous. But they're scavengers, and apparently they feed them the way they would in the wild. They just go around looking for little bits of dead animal and rodents. There's bones in there, and they pick over the bones. And look how light he is on his feet. Even though he's this gigantic bird, he hops around like he's as light as a feather. It's great having all that activity. The trip home is still part of the trip. I don't like to do these long drives. I like to stop. And our first stop was at the,
Bella Vista Hotel, the shoreline outside the Bella Vista Hotel.
it's a gorgeous hotel, but the really neat thing is that they have this breakwater right on the beach. I mean, the water hits the breakwater. And it makes for a kind of an exciting moment. These waves build up and they come at you and smack against the wall. And they have this little outpost, this little outlook that jetties out into the water, and it's wet. The ground is wet. And we watched people walk out on there, and then a big wave would come and get them all wet. But I thought it would make good video to stand right out on the edge there. So I wanted to get Susan out. Come on, Susan. Come on, let's get out here.
I did not want to get my shoes wet. No, no, no.
No. She's going, no, I'm not going to get wet. And says, oh, just for the picture.
Yeah. And then wet for the rest of the day.
The water, you can see it slap up against the wall there. You can see Susan has very cleverly backed away from the waves there.
Well, I saw a couple people get pretty well drenched.
Yeah, it's funny how a rogue wave will come along and just whack. Here I'm going, oh, maybe this is one of them.
The Santa Barbara area is just beautiful.
We also stopped at the Carpinteria Bluffs. It's a little sort of state park. This is a model they have for blind people. You can see trees sticking out. The beaches were these melon-sized rocks, all the same size.
I think maybe they were put there to protect the shoreline.
This is where we had lunch on this log, and then we just looked out at the view. We just sat at the top of this bluff and had a very peaceful time looking out at the waves. It was a straight drop off below our feet.
Yes, we did not go down to the water.
No. No. And we're right by this train track. The bluffs are fairly steep, but people do seem to manage to make it down there. We saw a few people on the
There's
beach.
some surfers in the water.
Here's those tree lines that you could see in the map earlier.
Actually, yeah, the surfers were here.
Yeah,
Yeah, they weren't
Yeah.
in the.
yeah, there's surfers
Yellowstone.
down there. Probably see them in the water there. This train track runs right on the top of the bluff. They could have put it inland a little bit, just in case the bluff should like a road, but they didn't. And I think they put it on the edge to make it look good for the passengers as you're driving. This is 2x, this is twice normal speed, but you can see the beautiful view you get as a train engineer.
Yeah, the Pacific Surfliner runs along there.
People were on the track all over the place. I mean, you saw that person just jogging just there, and that was me. There's another person alongside the track. And what I noticed is you can't hear it coming. The
Mhm.
waves are so loud that it kind of masks the sound. It's just suddenly on top of you and rushing by. You have to look. Like these people here. They're looking quite intently, and they have no idea I'm buzzing them right now. So apparently at this height you can get by without them noticing you. Here's a train coming by. Of course, I hit record when I was actually already recording, so it stopped.
A classic mistake.
Classic mistake I keep making. And this is a nice little walk by a supercharger.
In Ojai, the Ojai Supercharger. Yeah, we walked this little neighborhood a bit.
Cute neighborhood. And this was a canyon that I flew, but again, didn't get the video on. It was a great trip.
Mm-hmm.